Hey, what's going on, travelers? Ricky Ventures and Marlon Madden, and we're back with you for another week of the Success Journey Show. What's going on, Marlon? How you doing today, bro?
Hey, just chilling. No.
Yeah.
I really, this weekend was a joy. It was just me, you, and the boys on the open road.
Yeah.
On the road again.
On the road, man.
We went down to Hampton, Virginia. We saw my son play basketball. They didn't pass to him a lot, but that's okay. He executed on a few times.
He
caught
efficient.
the ball.
He was efficient.
It was efficient.
He wasn't the most efficient person out there. We know who that was. But he was definitely efficient.
Yeah, he was definitely efficient. So he went down there, and I told him how he played on that last quarter is how he should have played the whole thing. Very scrappy, and the coaches are seeing, because if somebody's not passing the ball, you can just do other stuff, and that's true to life too. Sometimes people just don't.
People aren't passing you the ball, but there's things that you can do.
Passing the ball, you gotta be more aggressive. You gotta be in different places, put yourself in different positions,
when it's
like
time
you and I
shine.
did.
Yeah.
Even at that place, and some things should come about from it, and it goes right to our show about everybody puts on their pants or their skirt or their clothing, I should say, just like you do. So don't ever be afraid that if somebody is the top person and you're in their sphere and you need to talk to them.
Yeah.
And present your case.
Who you are. Yeah, love it, man. We're not going to go any further, man. We're going to jump right into this today. We have a power-packed information. For real, like, you got to take out your pen or paper.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a lot of good information. Take out your LinkedIn page. Have that up, because you're going to need to review just your history, your background, your experience. It's just going to be a lot. All those people that are really looking forward to is the career moves, opportunity that you want to get in your career. This is the episode that you need to hear and adopt some of these methodologies and theories that our guests will be sharing with you.
Welcome to the Success Journey Show. Let's travel together through the lives of individuals on the road to success.
Hey, what's going on, travelers? What's going on? We're back with this segment of the show, our favorite segment, where we get a chance to talk to a guest, a special guest. All of our guests are special. To come on and share their behind-the-scenes story on their journey to success. So we're going to travel a little bit with Anish Majumdar. Anish, what's going on, man? Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you, Ricky. Thank you, Marlon. I'm excited. I'm a fan, and I'm sending already good vibes and good career professional outcomes to each and every person who's listening to this right now. I really, as simplistic as it sounds, I just feel like, there's so much doom and gloom. There's so much doubt. There's so much fear related to this. But I've been doing this for a long time. I've been a career coach for over 12 years, and I have never, at the end of the day, been more excited than I am right now about the capability of individuals like me and you to really do something special and really cure a lot of what we might consider to be professional ills, whatever that is. Not paid enough, not in the right place. This is the time, because this is where there is doubt, this is where there's fear, and this is where there's also real opportunity and a real sense of, hey, who can we work with right now? Who can we partner with? So I'm really, really, really excited to be here, and I see ordinary people pull off the extraordinary in terms of what they can do every single month. Me and my team, we're having powwows celebrating that. So hopefully I can share a little bit of that, with you guys.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love the energy already, man. He jumped on. It was just full of energy. Marlon didn't even have his camera on yet, and he was just, full of energy. We were going.
Oh yeah, watch out. Yeah.
I love it.
Energy on this show.
Anish, as you were saying that, just saying like the background, who you work with, you kind of need that energy, right? Because people come to you because they're at that point of trying to understand, who they are. And a lot of people, like you said, the doom and gloom of, the world, and even just the confidence in yourself, is that you need someone that's going to come and spark that joy, spark that positive affirmation of, kind of who you are in that person. So, man, I appreciate that. First and foremost, of just your demeanor, man, the way you carry yourself here. And I must say, I'm excited about this podcast because I think we're in a very unique time, day and age, as we're talking about careers and things of that nature and opportunities, because people are seeing opportunities like they've never seen before. In this time in life, just based on what's going on in this world. And we want to talk about it all. So why don't you start off by just sharing, what was your journey like, just getting into this space? How did you know was it, that this is where Anish needed to be?
Yeah. I'll be the first to say that I still have, my moments and my days where I will question that, but it is a journey that maybe surprises, maybe no one, maybe more than myself. I didn't start out saying, oh, I'm going to be a career coach, I'm going to be an expert in the hidden job market. I started out in Montreal. Growing up with a mom who had schizophrenia and looking for an outlet, and I discovered acting and theater. And in my 20s, I was a professional actor, doing film, TV, a lot of commercials, etc. And that went into journalism and writing. And this thing that we're talking about in terms of getting ahead, I experienced that firsthand as a job seeker, where my credits in terms of achievements professionally were increasing year by year, but because I was going at it a non-traditional way, I wasn't, what I learned about being a journalist, I learned it out there. I learned it on assignment, right? I didn't do a path. So in terms of impressing a gatekeeper, I had the accomplishments, and that would work for the high level. I would find out in years to come, and it would be easier for me to talk to the high level, but I didn't know that. I was stuck trying to impress someone who was maybe 2 years out of college, saying, look, why would I stick my neck out for this guy who I don't know from Adam, right? I mean, I got to bring a couple of safe choices to my boss. So I realized firsthand, as I was making my way, that it didn't really matter. There was a weird disconnect between professional achievements and stature and your ability to actually succeed in the job hunt and out there. So I was 26 years old. I was living in in New York. I was illegally living there. I had moved there from Montreal at the time. I was living with my wife, and I was working as a sideline, writing some resumes, doing this stuff on the side. And because I was a writer, things were going well for the people I was working with. But again,
you were able to create a lot of different stories for them. Huh?
Yeah, I was able to look at their brand. I was able to look at the wider perspective, and almost out of the gate, I was able to say, like, look, the right answer. I would see a lot of people, for example, just let's say someone like you, Ricky. I would see someone coming in and saying, look, what I want to do is, just as an example, I want to keep moving in the tech industry. I've been here for 6 years. What were you doing before this? Because I know, you've got a 2-decade plus thing. Well, that's not really relevant. And I was told to just chop all of that out of my resume because, it's not relevant here. Well, that's easier to digest for an employer, but for your value, it is intrinsic for you to find a way to own that full journey and get that heft. Otherwise, there's no real reason for me to not compare and contrast you with someone who's just 6 years in the game, right?
Yep.
So all of these things were changing, but what really snapped it for me was realizing that something fundamentally about how we get these jobs has to change, because I could write the best resume for someone ever, and I still will do that for clients, but as long as you're pitching and presenting, as long as you're trying to win over the wrong people, and as long as they think and believe that you're one of 10 or 15 or 20 other choices that are relatively interchangeable, my hands are always going to be tied in terms of what I can truly do for you, in terms of how I can advocate for you out there, how you can advocate for yourself, and most importantly, the types of opportunities and offers that you see. If those things didn't start to fundamentally change, it would always be an uphill battle, and it becomes a worse uphill battle the more senior level you go, because the higher up that is, the more leery, organizationally speaking. And I've seen this, by the way, now having run a business now for over a decade. I've hired people, and I'll tell you, the last thing I want to do is go through all of that, right? It'll cost me an average of 160% of your year one salary at the executive level to bring someone on board that way.
Yep.
I don't want to do it. You guys, the candidates don't want to do it. You don't want to spend 40 minutes uploading your resume, doing all this stuff. And the worst thing is, because there's so much volume, because there's such pressure, we never actually end up talking about the most important thing, which is, Ricky, here's what's actually going on. Here's the part that I can't share with Monster and Indeed. Here's what we're actually experiencing. What do you think? What have you seen? Does this make sense? Any ideas here in terms of what we can do? And hey, if you want to help us, if there's a way that we can structure it, and this is what we're talking about, really, this is the hidden job market. The hidden job market is basically this whole world I discovered only in my early 30s and in this business, but now I'm just doing my best to make up for lost time through teaching people. The hidden job market is literally this whole world in every sector, every industry, basically every company right now, where there's a certain number of people, especially at the senior level, who a certain amount of time is on their books every week to build relationships with people like you. And the idea is, whatever you specialize in, whatever your area is, if you can start by thinking, hey, is there a way I can present myself not as a job seeker, but as something else? If there's a way that I can start tapping into this stuff, anyone can start diversifying the flow of where and how they get these opportunities from. And that's the name of the game. That right there, getting off of a freeway only type thing and being like my 3-year-old son, Teddy. He's like a maniac for trains. He's like a maniac. I asked him, what does he want to be when he grows up? He says, a train. I said, oh, you want to be a conductor? He's like, no, Dad, you don't understand.
I want to be a train.
I'm a train. These are going to become wheels. This is going to become, the smokestack, right? He's very, very, very clear, But once you start sort of looking at this, saying, okay, so the job boards, whatever I see there, that's not the end all and the be all. That's one channel. There's a whole bunch of other channels out there, and people, one-on-one people, are the gateway there. That's what cracked everything. And 12 years later, we're and 2,000 people in. We what we do is we teach a system for sort of supercharging every one of these aspects. So the brand, the positioning and messaging. We use LinkedIn, and we have an in-house automation thing. But when we started, I was using LinkedIn manually and had a crappy little spreadsheet. Anyone can do it very humbly. But basically, we look at all of those things all the way into how you're handling the calls and the conversations, who you're targeting, and how you're handling the follow-up and the negotiation. And what's really amazing about it is there's this much out there in the postings, and then there's this much that you can only generate only as Ricky, but I have to know you. We have to have a little bit of this, not as job seeker, like sending me the resume, but in another context, I grew up in a middle-class family, Indian household. I don't know about you guys, I was never taught about any of that, I was taught, networking was almost like a dirty word for me because I was like, okay, I don't know what schmoozing is, and I don't know what the heck that is. I didn't. This was very, very foreign to me. But the amazing thing is that maybe it's like the beautiful girl in high school conundrum where it's like, why is she with this total jerk? Well, he put himself on the line and he asked, right? And he, instead of being in his head about what am I going to say and how am I going to present, maybe he spent a few minutes saying, hey, what does she want actually? You know, what does she want? What does this person want, right? Instead of all of this and what I need to present and who I need to be, right? Like, what does this person want, right? Your typical executive has 5 or 6 priorities constituting what's on their plate right now. It's not rocket science to align with those things. Anyone can do it, but you've got to start building a little bit of a muscle, you know, a muscle of, I call it a muscle of equality, but that's because I've always had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder with that, you know, like, but developing a muscle to say, hey, you know what, like, it's 2022, things are moving so quickly, all of these things are breaking down, and need and authority and credibility, these are the things that is the currency of right now. But what doesn't matter anymore is the fact that you're a director, so you don't have the right to talk to me because I'm the CEO. All of that is going away. If you can ask the right way, if you can present yourself the right way, if you can talk and investigate in the right way, anyone, literally anyone can start this process. And the more years you've been in it, the more power you've got, the more like cannons you've got in your thing there that's just sort of waiting to fire off. Obviously, I'm a nerd about this stuff, but it is really, you know, going back to what we talked about at the beginning of this conversation. It is true that it is this thing where, of course, we feel negative going out there, because if we don't shift from the default, we're stuck playing a game. It's like at the casino, you know what I mean? It's like there's only so positive you can be there, really, I believe, because everything is so severely stacked against you that it's meant to sort of deliver a kind of outcome that is not the kind of outcome that you want, right? So even if you get something, you're not fully secure, because if I take away your job right now and you can't easily generate something else, something better, right? There's no real job security, right? Like, no matter how in demand you are, you're always sort of watching your back, you know? So so when you can sort of open that up a little bit, and you know, you get a taste of how valuable you truly are, you know, not just as a candidate, but like, there's people all across the gamut right now who the best conversation they will have all week is with Marlon, right? And the best conversation they're going to have is with you, man, you know? But what they, when that happens, and I discovered that when I was broke as a joke trying to find a job, but that was the thing that cracked it open, is that I realized, wait a minute, people are helping me, opening doors, and then creating roles, and I was creating roles and opportunities, and I was getting much more fluid about how I was looking at the business of getting ahead. You know what I mean? I was starting the process of now thinking through the lens of the people that I was looking to do business with. You know, it shifted everything, and I stopped worrying about watching my back or trying to be generic or trying to tick all of the boxes, which is impossible anyway. And I started thinking, hey, you know what? Out of 99 or out of 100, let 99 reject. I need 1, right? And in fact, if I'm talking a full-time role, I should be thinking, what is worth me taking myself out of the market for a minimum of 1 year plus, which is a big deal, by the way, right? Like, I could, for anyone halfway decent, I could get you, if you can follow this and you can run with this, I could get you more money probably on by linking up highly paid consulting work, etc., rather than doing it. So tell me again, why are we chasing after this dream company, right? Like what's the thing? Like, Meta is not going to keep you safe. Amazon is not going to keep you safe, right? You can keep yourself safe.
Yeah.
But the secondary brand things there, that's not going to work any more than the title is, you know? Like, there's plenty of people who get commoditized out there, and they have the best educational pedigrees, best titles, you know? But they, you know, it's like this thing, you know, like the muscle of standing up for yourself and realizing, hey, wait a minute, you know what I mean? Like, behind door number 1, no, I'm good with door number 1. Is there a door number 2? Yeah, for you, there's 5 other doors there. I'm glad you finally asked, you know, so I can tell you some of these, you know, you know, and that's what I discovered, you know, and that's what I've been, you know, doing my best, me and my team, to spread that word, is like, look, you know, what you're looking at, like 8 to 10x in your region right now, that's closer to what's actually out there for you. You know, it's worth a little bit of risk. It's worth a little bit of for me, trial and error or learning something new, you know? Yeah.
Anish, I'd be my Quebecois
Yes.
would be upset with me if I didn't zero in what part of Montreal you're from, right?
Oh
So
yes. Oh yes.
so
Yes.
what part before I'm really interested, but I have follow-up questions, but my Quebecois that's
Oh, I love that you're asking me about this. I know. I was
what part of Montreal?
LaSalle.
Oh wow. I
Yes.
know LaSalle.
Yes.
I used to live in Laval,
Oh yeah.
and I used to live in Saint Laurent, Ville Saint Laurent.
No kidding. Oh my gosh. This is my gosh. Funny winding roads, eh?
Yeah.
In,
Yes, sir.
in terms of life, I remember hours and hours spent riding the Montreal Metro
Yes.
and the bus.
Yes.
But some of the best memories also. I mean, just
I used to love LaSalle
yeah.
because so I used to go to the Adventist church. Well, the Adventist church in LaSalle.
Yes. I know that church. Yes.
Yeah, it used to be like where all the young kids, the happening, the music. So I used to be down in LaSalle a lot.
Very cool. You know what? You sound like you were cooler than me growing up. I have to be honest. That sounds like I had heard rumblings. You were like, no, I was there. Trust me. This is good. That's up. Yeah, this is good. Yeah.
I was there. That's good. You still speak to Pop Francais or?
And I even did a years ago in my acting days, I did this among my gigs was a show called Pure Laine back there in Quebec. That was one of the best acting experiences I had. But I'll tell you, the Francais, it used to be.
Yep, it leaves. It leaves. Yeah.
Now it's now
you got to think about it.
Come see, come sa.
Come ça.
Yeah. It's patchwork a little bit, you know. It's like I need to get back in the mix. Yeah, I just got to immerse back in there, you know.
Wait. So let me tell you, man, you're hitting this topic that you're hitting when it comes to. So if I was a young kid that came out of college,
yes,
because when you go to college, they tell you about the top of the line that I should meet. So I went straight to do my MBA, no experience.
Mm-hmm.
I come to you and I say, Anish, I want to make 180,000 because when I was going to school, they told me I could make 180 starting.
Mm-hmm.
How do you combat that, and how do you zero in that person for them to understand how it works, progression and all this stuff when it comes to the job market?
I would say, and it is true that what we're talking about here, it's going to be, let's say, the most difficult, the more limited, shall we say, of a journey you have, right? Because you've got less sort of, irons there. But it's true. The idea that you're laying out is exactly the same. What I would say is, there's two things. If you're completely fresh out of this, take a page out of what I accidentally learned as a journalist, which is I'd often have assignments talking with people who were very media savvy and all of this. They had their talking points and all of this. The key to winning over, and that is the key when you're starting out, is your key is, as a student, with respect, to put yourself in the mind and the eye of the people that you're building relationships with, people that you ideally admire and would want to build a relationship with anyway. Mm-hmm. Your goal is to look at it through their eyes and to, through your questions, through the conversation that you have, hold up a mirror. That's all. Just hold up a mirror of understanding. And what I found as a journalist, like, this is like one of the most powerful things. The thing to drop those defenses is not to go in there trying to impress with anyone. Like, if you have an MBA, good for you. Don't mention it. If you have a thing, but no one cares. Like, but that's the thing. Like, no one cares, right? What they do care about, and I discovered this as well, was say, okay, Marlon, you're running a Fortune 500, company. I've got 30 minutes here. One of the best things you can do is to literally, as a fan, as someone who's like, how did you do this? Tell me about what this journey was like for you. Tell me about what's on your slate right now. To literally try my best to understand and see it through your eyes and give you a not on your payroll set of eyes to look through. I'm going to give you value into your situation just by having the conversation. You, the CEO, you're going to get massive value out of this conversation, even though I'm 2 years out of college, 3 years out of college. And what I'm doing is my business understanding, my MBA understanding, all of this stuff, directed through your questions, directed through the time spent, not coming up with your best answers, not coming up with the best thing. Again, no one cares. No one's going to remember that stuff. 7% of that stuff is verbal, right? But directed through the questions that you ask, right? And if the overarching impression when you leave this thing is, man, this kid, that was insightful, that was valuable, that I learned something and I was able to see something here. Let's find something to do here. Let's find an opportunity. Now, if you're further along, right, the way to use this exact way of thinking and better deploy what you already have is to think, we said, look, this secondhand brand stuff doesn't really work that well. What does work really well is to think about what you do through the lens of a process. So let's just say, let's say you specialize in marketing. I'll often work with people who are highly qualified in the marketing side. But the problem is, this is one of those things where every Tom, Dick, and Harry has an idea of what marketing, what the worth of that is, right? It's not accurate. They don't know what they're talking about, right? In terms of what but they have an idea. The key here is you cannot brand yourself as a chief marketing officer or whatever and expect not to be commoditized. The key is to say, what am I actually getting paid for? Someone who is a marketing expert, at the end of the day, if they're good at their job, they are being paid to grow and transform that company through the lens of what they do. So if I say, look, I'm a marketing person and I feel like I've been watching my back against these young whippersnappers with their digital marketing experience. Stop thinking of it like that. Stop thinking of yourself as marketing. Start saying, okay, as someone who can catalyze and capture growth, what is a way that I can brand myself? Maybe I look at this and I say, you know what? That operations experience I have, that analytics experience, which has been a sort of unspoken part of the best roles that I've done in the last 7 years, my way of keeping a company safe is I can help it grow in any market condition through customer-centric marketing that brings together operations, brings together analytics, and makes that a part of the whole. Now, you may agree, you may not agree, but having a point of view, having a brand that operates around a process will allow you to then use that to build relationships on a different context than just I did this, so I'm looking for more of this, right? And even if I disagree, I've worked with people all across the gamut. I've secured job offers all across the gamut with leaders who, right up until the end, have said, guess what, Marlon? I still am not 100% convinced, but I got to tell you something. There's no one who has gone this deep. There's no one who has given me this kind of clarity. And heck yeah, this is worth me taking the risk here, the enterprise risk here to bring you on board, because there's got to be something here that I'm not seeing, And so you don't have to find agreement, but knowing that, hey, you've done the work to figure out that there's a stance, there's a right and a wrong way of doing business, and that right way is intrinsically hinged on your journey and the way that you see it. That'll give you a lot of power and a lot of credibility out there, And especially people who have kind of long and winding journeys, which I love, by the way. Like those are the greatest high performers I've ever seen or worked with. For 80% of their journey, maybe more, they had resistance all down the chain. People didn't get it. Why are you leaving behind, Ricky? Why are you leaving behind a safe job and making a riskier? They don't get the restlessness in you. They don't get the fact that you're like, no, I want to get some of that exposure into the finance thing. I don't know why yet, but I know that it's gonna play a role. So many top tier leaders, business builders right now, they didn't get the recruiters, the people, they didn't get it. They didn't see what was going on here. But then when the puzzle pieces
Picture
come
comes together.
yeah,
You're
of
like,
course.
oh,
And
wow.
there's so many people out there who can go really far. I mean, it's unbelievable how many people I've worked with over the years who are like doubting and all of this, and then you lift up the hood and it's like, what are you talking about? How are we even, worried about this? Gail, who was a wonderful client, she's 76. Okay, she had spent well over 20 years working at the Fortune 50 level in HR, building out those organizations. She kind of got a little screwed over, in her opinion, in her last job. She was expecting a significant payout. That wasn't taken out. She could have still left, was great. But she has this really close relationship with her granddaughter. And there's a life that she wants to leave behind, a legacy there. So when we work together, she has this doubt in her mind that says, look, this is what I've done, and get it. Yes, I can, I gotta, fight this fight. But, as we go deeper again into what do you do? Is it HR? No, it's building these companies. It's keeping these companies safe. Where she is right now, it's the most delightful thing, because in her journey of owning the fuller scope a little bit of what she does, she's not working with these huge organizations in this way. She's working primarily with early and high growth mid-stage companies that are primarily, by the way, filled with people who look completely different to her. Like a lot of guys, kind of aggro in their 30s and all of this, but they love her because she's been around the block so much. She has so much perspective in zones that they don't have. And she has the wherewithal to be like, just cut the crap, Ricky. You know what I mean? Just stop. All of it, guys. Just stop all of it. Okay. None of that's going to work. You guys are looking like fools.
Yeah.
All right. Here's what we're going to do. Right. And here's what we're going to do. Again, agreement is not required, right? A point of view, though, definitely is required. And so, to think about, is there a process I could stand behind? Is there a right or a wrong way that I can drive change?
Yeah.
That can be really, really powerful.
Thank you for listening to the Success Journey Show. Please follow us on our social media on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at The Success Journey Show. Also, check out our website at thesuccessjourneyshow.com. Thank you for listening and enjoy the rest of the show.
I like how you're putting that, because in my mind, it's shifting from trying to fit into a bucket or a job description.
Yes.
That, quite frankly, the jobs struggled to put together themselves.
Yes.
But they had to, just because of obligation, put a job description together, right? And then you have people out there looking for jobs to try to fit into something that was put together in a rush because they had to put something on paper, and they tried to get everything down on there, try to meet the requirements for the HR team.
Yes.
And then you go in there and try to fit that job description, right?
Yeah.
And so I love your perspective, because it kind of comes, it trying to pushes more of a independence or building your brand of who you are, right? So now you're controlling the conversations, you're controlling the opportunities, because now you're wrapping yourself around, okay, this is what, I see this position here, but this is what I can offer the organization. And as I'm based off of who I am, and as I'm explaining who I am and what I do, let's draw the parallels as to what you're actually looking for, and let's see if this could work. And quite frankly, most times when you do that, if it's not that opportunity, they see so much and learn so much about you. They're like, wait a minute, I got to pass you on to somebody else here, because who you are, one, we need to have here at this organization, and it may fit another place that we're looking to fulfill. But that all comes from, like you're talking about, you're kind of shifting this whole outlook on, what am I putting on paper? What am I putting out there as myself? What is my story versus trying to fit the mold?
And I would say to piggyback off of what you're saying here, hopefully this will be a little bit of like an aha moment here. Yes, you're changing each and every one of these things so that they look on the surface in some sense related to what was there, but they're now, each of them are serving you, you know? And so
Yes.
when it comes to this interview, right, whether you're building a relationship for the first time, whether it's traditional hiring, in some sense, the fundamental shift there can be applied across the board.
Yeah.
The goal is the same, you know, which is if I'm being interviewed by you, no matter what the context is,
Yep.
my goal is through the questions and through how the role I play in this conversation, which by the way, I don't look at it as gaining control. I look at it as all of this is, I want to, instead of continuously asking for permission to help, I want to just start helping, right? I want to take the job off the table if necessary and start the process of helping you, Ricky, through this conversation right now in the best way that I can. And if that's all that you need, great. And if not, I'm going to have confidence that for the people that I'm meant to work with, you're not going to be satisfied with anything but working with me. So in the interview context, okay, here's what the important thing to understand. You're right about the job postings. In fact, you can even take it one step further. And I've seen this having been on the other side of the hiring table.
Yeah.
There are times where the job postings for sensitive roles are literally, there's not one correct thing in there. Like it's literally, I'm taking it from 5 others because I want the candidates, but I'm not going to be sharing confidential details about what's actually happening here. Like our event management business got its heart and soul ripped out because of the pandemic. I'm not going to be putting that up there when I'm advertising, right? I'm going to be looking for a self-starter with it, blah, blah, blah. But you're right that if all you do is align to that, you might even get through the first pass, but there's nothing after that. Your job is always the same. You have to get to the truth. And in that first interaction, that first interview, your job is to do whatever is necessary to identify those 2 or 3 usually aspects of bleeding pain that they don't really want you to know about. The way that you want to do that, that's a whole part of what we teach. But one thing anyone can think about here is to say, look, if I'm going to follow up, the only way I'm going to have leverage is if I know a little bit of what's really going on here. Now, that can be you, Ricky, telling me about what your team has been experiencing here and what's actually driving this. It can be about just me getting a personal angle into understanding how you've been handling this. But if I don't have that, if I don't leave that room with a deeper understanding of what's there, then there's no way that I can meaningfully follow up and actually apply real leverage here, right? Everything I would do then would all be about me and da-da-da. And so the same thing is true even in a traditional interview, right? Which is, okay, let's say you're in a zone where you're being asked a lot of questions and all of that. Fine. An easy thing anyone can do is move for relevance, right? So if you're asking me, hey, tell me about what happened 3 years ago when you were on this project, fine. Lead them through it a little bit. Lead them through what the schematics are, especially the core idea there of what you were trying to do. And now move it into the realm of the now. Why are we asking that? Tell me, what have you guys been doing specifically in that, let's say in the last 3 or 4 months, right? Tell me what you guys have been doing here in terms of what's there. I've noticed that we've been talking for 30 minutes here about marketing and growing, and everything I do here is from a customer first perspective. And the word customer has not crossed the lips of you guys once. So I want to know tell me about customer churn at this company. That's what I want to know. I haven't seen that in one piece of research at this company. So, we're here. We're being honest about what's really going on here. If I'm going to actually be here or someone's going to be here to lead up the growth strategy at this company, why don't we actually get honest here?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we never know. Well, okay, here's the thing. That's leverage. Yeah. That's leverage. That's real leverage because the person who's able to not draw it out, we want help. But it's kind of like a dance, like when I was in elementary school, the first dance they had, I think it was in grade 5 or something like that, way too young, because literally it was the teachers in the middle, the girls on one side, the boys on the other, and them trying to get them to mingle, unsuccessful, And so it's the same thing here. Both sides want to help. Both sides can help, actually, especially people like the ones listening to your amazing podcast. They can help, but it's kind of like a huge part of this is enabling people to feel comfortable with trusting you a little bit more, with knowing that, hey, you know what, you've got something going on professionally that is bigger than any one job and even this company. Like, you might choose to do business with us, you might not.
Yeah.
But trust starts, especially when we're building a relationship, it starts by having a sense that, you know, just like in a date, you know, you don't want to date someone where it's like, oh my God, I haven't been out of the house in 3 months. This is the first person I'm talking to. You know what I mean? You want, let's face it, you would love to date someone where you're like, oh my God, anyone would find this person beautiful. Anyone would find this person. And they have stuff going on. They have a life. You know what I mean? They have a whole thing. That's what we want to be thinking about in terms of getting ahead in our careers. You know, right now we have the opportunity through using things like LinkedIn. Anyone has the opportunity. You know, we're talking about a process. You can start moving on that process. You can start sharing stories about heroes, people who are making an impact here. You can start pooling for advice and again, being associated with a way of thinking, a way of doing business. All of these small, humble things can be tremendously powerful when we're talking about generating an offer. Because remember, at the end of the day, it's all about getting it to a place where it's way riskier for me to do nothing than it is for me to continue this amazing thing that me and Ricky are building here. You know what I mean? Like, and that calculus, it flips into our side when we take the initiative like this. The what's required to tip it over is so much less than what's required on the other side. On the other side, you need buy-in from 50 different people, every Tom, Dick, and Harry, because they've been trying to solve this thing for forever. When you're talking to one person, and ideally, you know, it's true, I would always say shoot as high as you can in terms of who is feeling the negative aspects of your process or your way. Who is most feeling that right now? Start as high as you can there, but understand, do this. The more you do this, you're gaining insider information about what's really going on at these companies. You're figuring out what the connective tissue is here. All of this is helping to create this momentum and this snowball effect. You know, that's how all of us can like consistently and easily generate the kind of stuff that we're talking about. I mean, that's what really excites me, and that's why, like, artist turned writer turned career coach. But there's a weird
Connection.
Yeah, there is a weird connection because, you know, the human aspect. That's the thing that I love about writing. That's the thing that I continue to love about acting. You know, this human connection and this magic that we can create when the right people get together. And what I discovered in hiring was, it's still arguably as powerful of a force as any of the others, right? But it's ignored. You know, there's a weird thing where it's like, we're not going to ignore we're going to ignore the fact that we can't influence, that we can't, you know, do these things. And I was never able to do that. You know, I never had the luxury of taking that side of things off the table because things have been desperate for a long time. I've had many struggles. So when a door opened for me, I'm using every behavioral, structural, strategic technique, everything that I have, everything that I can use to the best of it. Like an athlete, I'm putting it out there to secure it. There's no hesitation there, you know? So to realize we can bring some of this human aspect into this and actually do business with people instead of just, you know, trying to win over these ATS systems and stuff. Oh, it's the best. It's the best.
Yeah.
Really. And I would say there's nothing to fear. Okay. There is nothing to fear. I don't care who you are who's listening. I don't care if you've never spoken to an executive before in your life. Hear me. They are people. They are people who, by the way, are usually more open to risk takers, more open to people who have made gambles on themselves. They are usually people, the successful ones, are people who have leveraged what they've done. They're not perfect, but they know what it's like better usually than your typical gatekeeper. You know what I mean? Who's trying to pass along, you know, a select list. You guys should be, if you're not already, you guys should be talking with the best of the best, the leaders, because the intrinsic value you guys have, not just from what you guys have created here, but the conversations you've had, the perspective that you guys have brought.
Yeah.
It's guaranteed the best conversation I'm going to have all week. There's a whole bunch of people in my personal network that I know right now. I'm like, set them up, get them. Doing business is not as hard as it sounds like when we can humanize it again, and when we can again get into the business of helping. Starting to help now. Not waiting or thinking I need permission, but just starting the process of helping now. It transformed everything for me. It transformed absolutely everything in my life.
Let me ask you a question. So now you you talked about the connections, and you talk about the growth of not growth, because everybody in their own sector is regarded as successful. You're a actor, artist, turned to a writer. Now you own your own business. Talk about that learning curve that you had to take in order to move from somebody that was collecting a paycheck to creating a paycheck. Even though artists, what's funny in all of those, you're kind of like an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because as an artist, you have to sell yourself, and actually you're your own business. As a writer, kind of the same thing. But talk about when you had to structure that for multiple people. Because if I hear you right, you said you have like 2,000 or more employees.
No, we've moved 2,000 clients so far through the
clients.
Through our system. Our team is actually very small. Very, very tight. We work really closely with the people that we move through. It's such a great question. And you have my brain whirring overtime. Thinking about it. I do think that a big part of what I do today is, as an actor, there was such a freedom in realizing that, in empathizing with someone else's situation on the written page, and with other people who are trying to communicate this, that I could actually not escape, but I could feel, I could express. There was so much there, that I could, again, yes, create, and that I didn't have to be a soldier to feel in that moment or to act in that moment in a soldierly way. I didn't have to, in what I do today, I work with a lot of people who might never consider themselves entrepreneurs, have no interest in an entrepreneurial path whatsoever, but for this situation, for what ails them, they need a little bit of that fire. They need a little bit of someone saying, look, you don't need to be 100% overnight, okay? This is what I've learned in my journey, is that sometimes the individual who can give you a 5% proficiency in something that you had a 0% presence in, that'll do more for your life than stacking that 5% on top of that 95. The person who has the courage to say, hey, you know what? I've excelled in so much of this. I've never said hello and actually thought about actually cultivating a relationship this way ever in my life. Okay, let's try. That'll do more for almost any of us in terms of real benefit. Here again, the value of diversification is massive here. And getting beyond what Mike, who was one of my clients, said. Anish. Because we were talking about this, and he was like, it sounds to me like you've been facing a lot of scarecrows, and he's like, I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, the stage, it's like this thing that it seems terrifying in the abstract, and then it is terrifying, but you go out there, and you go out there with love, and you go out there with a desire to share and to, again, help, and you realize that people can be moved, that you can actually feel what they're feeling, and there's like this interchange. The same thing is true with this, which is like, almost all of us, we've been taught that there's something really scary about building that relationship, about saying hello, about saying, hey, I admire what you're doing here. I'm really curious about what's going on here. Could you like tell me a little bit about what's there? We've been taught that there's something really scary about that, because maybe we're going to be discovered as lesser than, or all of these things, but it truly is a scarecrow, because on the other side of that, the vast majority of people, especially the ones that you seek out, the number of bad actors compared to the number of people who have helped me, have helped my wife, have helped my kids, have taught me how to invest, have taught me how to think about the future, have taught me how to have a vacation that's actually all of these wonderful fruits beyond the jobs and all of this stuff. It's waiting there. You know, we need that. We actually need this interplay, and we need this interchange beyond simply boss and employee. You know, like we need to have this professional aspect of ourselves respected. And there is something here. I still think that you know, it's so weird. We're talking career coach. The thing we're talking about, the human thing here, I think that all of it, including this work I'm lucky enough to do, it's just an application of some deeper thing here that we're just in our amateurish way starting the process of sort of excavating. There's something really deep and powerful there that I think has the ability to truly make us happier than we ever thought, and to make us feel prouder and empowered even when we're going through the hard times. You know, that's what I didn't have in the acting days, that I slowly, you know, through creating opportunities for myself, realized is that to me, freedom is being able to look my loved ones in the eye and say, hey, look, whatever it is, no matter how hard and scary it is, I got this. Like I'm okay when it comes to, you know, being employed, when it comes to doing work that's meaningful for me and doing it with the right people. I'm never going to run out of that, you know, and that is the truth. That's actually the truth of our situation. If you take away all the illusions of all of this, that is the truth, right? Like, like good people like you who have done amazing work, who have contributed and created, you do have way more opportunities than you'll ever be able to say yes.
You're right.
No, like,
You're
like,
right.
like,
You're right.
at the end of all of this, you know, like you get back to this place of, you know, I'm 42 and I'm lucky enough because, you know, through my work, I really do feel like more of a kid now than I did in my 30s. You know, it's like
I could see it.
Yeah,
I could see that you are like, you have some people who are just coaches who, hey, I created a company and I coach careers, and then you have somebody. I can feel your enthusiasm. That when you sit down with somebody and you say, all right, Marlon, let's look at you from A to Z. We're going to look at you. And I say to you, oh, I don't want to talk about my last 10 years because just like you said, it's not. And you say, listen, no. Tell me about it, because I want to pull that so I could put it on a canvas so I could help you paint it for the person that you want to talk to. And it's very true. I like the fact that I just wanted to hear you just talk through it. Rick and I are here just silent because I can see the enthusiasm and the message that you're kicking. I want people to get it. You know, what you're saying is so true. We went down, quick story, we went down to and I want to paint this picture for people.
yeah.
We went down to a celebrity basketball. Ricky and I we were invited down there. And because of football, a lot of players were football. You don't know their faces because they're always wearing the helmet, right?
Yeah.
But of course, you'll know your Cam Newton, you'll know your Josh Normans, you know your TOs. So those guys were there, but there are others that were there. I can walk up and talk to anybody, right? But I didn't take the opportunity to talk to lock T.O. into an interview, Cam Newton into an interview, because I knew about their stardom, and I was like, But I was talking to somebody that was just as famous, but I just didn't know who they were.
Yes.
And I was having a conversation and saying, hey, I'm talking to them, and somebody's like, you know who that was that person. And I was like, oh,
we are that is eerily similar. You know, years before, you know, things went, you know, started to really change for me. Before I'd moved to the States, I was filming this. I had a couple of days filming this movie, The Fountain, with Hugh Jackman, and in the middle of Montreal, and imagine this, okay? They're filming this thing, beautiful, Mel's, Cité de Cinema. Everything's set up there in Montreal. It's great. Meanwhile, literally, the driver from the set would pick me up from an apartment that I was so far behind on the rent on that I would actually wait until the driver was right outside because the landlord lived on the first door and I would have to run to beat him out the door. Okay. So I'm there and, dealing with literally, creditors, it was a bad time financially, and yet here I am working and realizing like, I can play ball. I don't know what else I can do. I don't know, okay? But I know that I can play ball at that level. That was the most validating thing from that experience. And while I was there, I'm chatting with you, and exactly like you said, this thing about not being able to, of saying, hey, you know what? Is there a barrier here? There's two people. There's an opportunity. There's a human moment. He displayed that in the other side because we're chatting there, and we get into this long discussion. They're setting up, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing here in Montreal?" I'm like, I'm describing it. He's like, "Look, you got to get out of here." I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like you were in New York, right? I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Do what you have to do to get over there. Like, go over there, build it, take the risk." But go for it. You're too good to be waiting around for like the 3 productions that come down here every year, man. Like just go ahead, And the matter of fact, that was something that I try to remember as a coach today, where sometimes the most powerful thing is like, someone like you, Marlon, coming with the dream. And the best coaches for me they've looked at a dream that I've had, not as a dream, but it's like, yeah, dude, you should have had this 5 years ago. So I'm glad that you're here. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to treat this as a matter of fact reality, right? Like how many parts of your life right now can we shift right now without the permission of that offer? There's a whole bunch of things that we can change in your life right now, that will start this process of the universe shifting around you to say, okay, like, all right, fine. Let's talk about it, And when you guys bring the magic of that, forget about it. I mean, I pity the fool who is in that room, who is getting that devastating charisma, the power, all of that stuff going on, There's something really magical. I can't tell you the number of offers I've seen people close, not because there's a magic synchronicity there, but simply because, let me put it this way. I'm trying to run a business with 5 or 6 other people at this level. You specialize in marketing, you specialize in IT, but the truth is, I need a few more people who we're kind of simpatico with on the unspoken value side, Like I need a couple of people in that room that as we face the unknown here, I don't know what it's going to be, but I know the kind of human being that you are. I know the kind of person that you are. I know that I need a few other people like that to meet this thing together so that I don't feel completely alone out there. So I don't feel like I'm constantly fighting this uphill battle,
Battle.
Sure. Yeah. We want to fight battles that we can win and ones that are worth, fighting for good reasons. We don't want to battles of try to convince a boss who's never gonna get it, or all of that stuff. That's as my 3-year-old says, that's nonsense. You can leave that. Behind. I say with everyone out there, man, with open arms, put your faith into human beings again. Put it into individuals again. Spend a thought or two not on the dream companies or the dream job titles. You're going to do it anyway. That's cool. By the way, benchmark LinkedIn profiles. That's much better than job postings as a source if you're going to use something like that. But start thinking about, hey, who do I know and who can I start the process of getting to know and starting the process of helping. I think you're going to be surprised because it's rich. The riches are there. I feel like Scrooge McDuck, but in a good way. In terms of that.
I love it, man. Anish, man, this has been wonderful, man. And like Marlon said, man, you just really opening up and just sharing from your heart as to what you've been experienced, what you've seen, what you've learned over these years, and just the passion you have just sharing it with everyone, man. We really want to just thank you for that.
Oh,
man.
you're welcome.
Definitely grateful.
It's effortless chatting with you guys. So
I appreciate it. They I do have to say this, and I was going to say it earlier, and it kind of slipped my mind as we was going through it. But I was walking in Staples yesterday, and I happened to walk down the aisle where they sell the resume paper. And I was asking my wife, I said, "Do you remember this? How everyone had to go get their resume paper, print it all nice and thick, and have your portfolio book, and make sure you have a copy of your resume, the good quality papers, and when people touch it, it feels rich in their hands. It's just
Yes.
how times have changed. It's just it's crazy. It really is crazy, man. But
I remember pitching agents, and I was doing that. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get the slightly weightier paper, so they know that the content of this is nice and weighty. You know what I mean?
Yes. It was just like the business card. The business cards were the same thing.
Exactly. It's like, oh well,
you had a nice hard business card with the raised
embossed. Yeah, embossed.
Like, he's serious. He is serious.
Yeah. I tell you, man, times have changed, and I say that to say times have changed is if you've been sitting here listening to this episode, there's a lot to pull out. 'Cause we get a lot of people that are in that transition or looking for that next thing and wondering how to set myself up to get that next thing. And if you listen to the principles that Anish shared with us today of really just kind of owning it in a different way, right? Owning it in a different way, really not leaving yourself out of your true self out of the story here, right? One of the most powerful things you said was, hey, I worked in this space for maybe a year or two or whatever it is. This is what I want to do, and kind of forgetting everything you've done in the past. So like, nah, but all that stuff, makes up who you are today, and you cannot forget about that, or else you're going to be quickly back on the job search again because the opportunity that you get is not really going to be fulfilling you, right?
Yes.
Because you only went in with your partial self to this new opportunity.
100%.
Yeah,
spell it out. Don't be afraid to connect the missing dots. You don't have to have had the bread and butter each and every one from A to Z. If you've got A, you've got C, you've got B, you've got P and M. Do the work of showing, hey, look, this is all representative of the chain, right? And
who I am.
Yes, this is all representative of what's there. But give people the confidence of your clarity and of what you know. And exactly like you said, you said it beautifully. Bring your full self, your full journey into that, because that's also your greatest competitive advantage. It might seem to many of you listening, especially if you're in transition mode, that's my curse, Anish. That's my curse. It's not your curse, okay? You're going to get more of these transition points. The more successful you are, the more of them, it's not less, it's more. But what happens is your relationship to those change. Just like an elite athlete, like, they don't worry about getting sore, they're anticipating it. It's like fantastic. We made it. It took me 10 years to get there. This one took me 3, man. It's like, all right, fantastic. We're there,
Exactly.
So use it. It's okay. The obstacle is the opportunity when it comes to your career and your journey.
Absolutely. Hey, Anish, can you share with our listeners and travelers around the world just where they can connect with you, learn a little bit more about what you do, secure your services as they're trying to go through their transition point in their life as well?
Sure. I've got a special link for those of you listening who want to immediately learn the full strategy. We recently, my team and I, just completed a masterclass that we're offering for free. It's available at tapthehiddenjob market /ASAP. And for anyone who wants to register, you can immediately get access to it. It's about an hour long. It'll teach you exactly the major shifts that we teach our clients. We've had people who, by the way, have worked with us, but also people who have not worked with us who have run with those ideas there, and we're getting success stories from them as well. So, and if you want to get in touch with our team, inquire about working with us, one-on-one, implementing our system, which also uses automation, at the end of that class, you'll have the opportunity to book a free session with our team, and we can take it from there. HelloAnish.com is headquarters if you just want to go down the rabbit hole of, again, an atypical approach to these different aspects that you can control to give yourself more of an edge and give yourself more opportunities. And I guess maybe the last one would be to those of you who are on LinkedIn, especially if you're on search, have hope. Don't worry if you're listening to this. This is a good start. Your headspace is definitely there. You can always hop over to LinkedIn and you can put in Anish career. I'm always, if you follow me, I'm sharing updates, things right from the trenches and insights that anyone can use to, again, look at this stuff in a different way and say, okay, the problem wasn't me. It was how I was doing it. I changed this, different outcome, and that's true for the vast majority of human beings that I have ever worked with as a career coach. We all go in there thinking there's something wrong deep here. I made some horrible mistake in my journey, or there's something about who I am. But almost to a man or a woman, it's not that. It's not. It's a situation. It's a challenge, but it's not you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dawson College was in New York, right? In Canada, right?
What's that?
Dawson College?
Dawson College, yeah, was in Montreal.
No.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so Dawson or Vanier, whichever one you want to go to, right? Yeah.
That's right, Dawson, Vanier. There was I think there was a hoity-toity one as well that my younger brother went to.
Concordia.
Yeah, Concordia. Yeah, Concordia.
McGill? Yeah,
there you go. Now we're getting. Yeah. I was broke as a joke back in those days. So it was like, what is the most subsidized theater school I could possibly
go to?
Be a part of? But it really was. I mean, it was amazing. Amazing times there in Montreal.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It was funny it's just funny that my mind just jogged back and remember all that stuff. I just followed you on LinkedIn, so I
Same
expect.
here, yeah.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Follow back.
Appreciate
Same
that.
here.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank
Follow
you.
back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. I enjoyed this totally, Rick.
Yes, sir. Travelers, man, we come to the end of another show. We want to we want to thank Anish for joining us today. Man, really appreciate his insight, his passion, and you guys check him out. Go on LinkedIn, follow his page, connect with him there. Go to the workshop, the masterclass that they developed. Look at the masterclass. We know there are many of you out there that are in this part of transition in your life and would love to have this information so that you can apply it as you are going forward in your career. Listen, we had a great time with you today, and we will see you guys again next week at the same time, same place on the Success Journey Show. Everyone have a good one. Peace.
All right. One love.
You've been listening to The Success Journey Show, where your dreams, drive, determination, and diligence are the foundation to success. For more information, check out thesuccessjourneyshow.com. The Journey Squad is here helping you to your destination.